This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 329 of the Stable Scoop Radio Show. Don't eat the colored snow. Please support our sponsors as they make this show possible.
Our sponsors this week are Kentucky Performance Products, Dr. Rose's Remedies, and RidingWarehouse.com.
Welcome to the Stable Scoop, with weekly shows delivered right to you. With Helena and Glenn the Geek, live from the stable, it's every week. They bring you the news through hail or high water, while using their tails as their own fly swatters. So sit on down and laugh till you poop, cause it's time again for Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop.
This is Glenn the Geek.
And this is Helena B. And you're listening to the Stable Scoop Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network.
Well, howdy, Helena.
Howdy, Glenn. You know, I have to tell you,
Yes?
I don't always know who our sponsors are for every show until we get in here and see the show notes. And I just had my little bucket of Dr. Rose's Remedies out this morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was floating around in my bathroom. I have like 10 of them.
I know.
And it was floating around. I'm like, oh, thank God, there it is. You know, like sometimes I lose it because my bathroom is a crazy mess.
And
Are you
it's not
surprised at
really meant for humans necessarily, but I kind of use it on myself all the time.
I use all of my horse's stuff on myself. Like I use all my Cowboy Magic things on myself. I use everything. But I happen to be like, oh, there's my Dr. Rose's, or there's Brody's Dr. Rose's. Give me that.
Well, we'll talk more about Dr. Rose's a little later in the show, but first we have a lot of fun guests. Of course, it's time for Chasing a Fox, so we'll be doing the Chasing a Fox segment first in today's show, and then we have coming up another past guest who's been with us since I think the very beginning, like 6 years ago, coming on almost every year. Scott Trees, our favorite photographer, horsey photographer.
Love him.
Oh, he's such a neat guy. And then Bree from Riding Warehouse will be joining us for the Tack and Habit segment later in the show. So we have a lot to get to. Do you want to just get started?
Yeah, let's go. Go, go, go.
Well, who's your guest for Chasing a Fox in a Little Black Dress?
This month, we have my old friend, Sissy Finn. She's going to talk to us about basically what her hunt season was like, because I have been out for the entire hunt season with a broken wrist. That happened, 2 weeks before opening meet. So we had to live vicariously through Sissy, and a lot of living we have done because she's had a very exciting and successful hunt season. And it all culminated with her earning a very, very special distinction, and that is her hunt colors. So let's welcome Sissy and find out what the 2014 hunt season was like for her.
Right after this Nutrition Minute from Kentucky Performance Products. This Nutrition Minute is brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products, the company that simplifies your search for research-proven nutritional supplements at kppusa.com.
The horse that matters to you matters to Kentucky Performance Products. Managing horses can be challenging. Each horse's personality affects the way he behaves and reacts to the world around him. Horses with certain dispositions can be at higher risk for developing health problems than others. High-strung or excitable horses are easily stressed, but so is the timid, quiet warrior. Stressed horses are more likely to develop digestive upsets that lead to colic, diarrhea, and ulcers. Nalox Advanced was specifically developed to support a digestive tract that is under stress. It sustains proper pH levels, reducing the incidence of ulcers and hindgut imbalances, while simultaneously supporting the healing of damaged tissues. Nalox Advanced supports the complete digestion of starches and sugars and sustains populations of beneficial bacteria. Make life a little easier on your sensitive horse and start him on Nalox Advanced today. To learn more about the ingredients in Nalox Advanced, visit Kentucky Performance Products at kppusa.com.
And now my favorite part of the Stable Scoop Radio Show. It's our Chasing a Fox in a Little Black Dress segment. This week we have Sister Finn on with us, and she's going to tell us all about fall season and a very special distinction that she earned at the end of that season. Welcome back, Sissy. How are ya?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. I'm sorry I missed the last show. I was busy hunting. I miss you guys.
I know. We miss you too, but we do get to live vicariously through you. So what the heck? Where you been? What's happening?
Well, our formal hunting season is in October and November, so I've been hunting at the Storm. We had the biggest hunt that we had this year was our joint meet, and that's when we have some hunts come from. We have the Norfolk hunt. You'll have to help me here, Helena. It's Myopia, Norfolk, Wentworth,
yep.
And one more. I can't remember what the fourth one is, but we had over 100 riders come and ride out with the Myopia hounds, and it was such a fun day. The weather was glorious. The horses all behaved. The people behaved as well as they could, of course. But that was a really, really fun meet. Because when you get that many horses together, and we had probably 50 car followers as well. So the whole thing, there was just a lot of energy everywhere, both in the saddle and out of the saddle, which makes it all really exciting. So that was our big meet this year. The 3 weekends in November that were really busy, which you were part of one of them, we had our hunt ball, which, do you want to talk about hunt ball at all?
I will. I finally got to see Helena's little black dress, and she looked all sexy and good. And that we'll have to post that on our Stable Scoop page for everybody to oogle.
She looked all sexy and good. I love Glenn's compliments. They're just so down home.
I don't know the fancy terms. You just looked hot, all right? That's what
There was, if we had more time, I could tell a really funny story about this little fox hunter running through the mall because she screwed up her makeup appointment and doing the mad dash between Macy's and Nordstrom's and then finally settling down at the Chanel counter so that she could look fabulous. There's never a dull moment.
Rush.
It was. So apparently, Glenn, your compliment about looking good was, there was a lot of effort to go into that.
Wait a minute. You had makeup on? Oh.
Oh,
so yeah, we had some high holy days. Then, obviously, we have the weather. You never know where you're going to get with the weather up here. So, there's the excitement of a big group of horses. There's the excitement of the weather. There's the excitement of whatever the route is going to be that day, and then of course how our huntsman lays the line. So, which has been pretty fast and fun this year.
Really fast and fun. Yeah, it has been very exciting. I think the word might be exhilarating.
And you finally found some hardware for your pony's mouth that you both feel comfortable with. So you felt like you have a little bit of control up there.
Yeah, I definitely did most of the time. Okay. Which is always a good feeling because, as you know, when you get going, sometimes when you say whoa, your horse still says go. So it's hard to find that those breaks that work for both you and your horse without them getting mad at you. So that is quite an accomplishment when you get that good recipe. But yeah, I was able.
And
to
that makes you relax more in the saddle, too.
Definitely.
Once you get that right, then you can chill out, and then once you chill out, and then it just kind of snowballs in the good way, where everybody's just kind of relaxed and going along, and you really you and your horse really got to know each other over the course of the last couple of months. And it sounds like you have a great level of confidence in him now, and he must have the same in you.
I hope so. Yeah, I was talking to my trainer about, whether he should go south for the winter, and I decided to keep him with me this winter because we came so far that I'm afraid if he goes south that we will lose our connection. So he's going to stay up here with me, which is, I don't know if that's good or bad. I hate the winter.
But you have those super duper snowshoes on them. You guys can go galloping around in the snow if you want.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Glenn, I don't know if you know the story, but our biggest meet of the year, of course, is Thanksgiving.
How'd that go? That was always my favorite to come and watch.
Well, it went really well, but I was a bit skeptical to begin with because I started watching the weather, and then suddenly the snow was coming. And because I wasn't sure if I was shipping my horse south or not for the winter, my farrier had come, and he had not put his snowshoes on. So suddenly we've got this snowstorm coming, and my horse just has regular shoes. So I scrambled around, and my farrier couldn't come down, and I had to find somebody else who luckily came and put snowballs and studs and boreum and all that stuff on, because when I went to bed the night before Thanksgiving, it was a snowstorm, and I thought, oh dear, I can't go if I don't have the shoes on. So I was very happy that I could go, because there were quite a few people that didn't have the snowshoes and they went anyway.
Now, what do you talk
it was quite
about,
a slippery mess.
Sissy? When you talk snowshoes, are you talking pads and boreum like we would do for road shoes and driving?
Yep, the snowball pads
Yep.
they put in to pop the snow out in the front, and then boreum on the toe, and then the studs on the heel. So it sounds like it's very similar to the driving shoes.
Yeah.
You might as well put tire chains on.
We
Right.
needed them on Thanksgiving because it was really, really slippery, and the horses that didn't have them on were almost falling down. So it's always good to have the right shoes on for the weather. In my mind.
it looks pretty. Hunting in the snow looks pretty, and even if it's just a dusting, it looks gorgeous. But it's that dusting that can really, that's a problem. Like, because you've called the footing, you've used this term to describe it. It gets greasy. It's hard underneath, but you've got that top layer of just enough slick, and you need some bite to kind of
Definitely.
stay alive.
Yeah.
Well, you know
So-
It
what?
was the first time go ahead.
You know, the same as with driving your car. It's always the first inch that causes the most accidents. Once it gets about 2 or 3 inches, people get traction again. It's that first inch, and that's true with horses too. It's always that first slippery inch that's a real problem.
Well, I'd never hunted in the snow before, so I was just a wreck, but it turned out to be okay. So I guess the first inch is all right if you've got the right equipment, in my mind at least. So I'd do it again. Definitely do it again. Let's see.
And then
What
you
else
wrapped
have we
up
been
the
up to?
season. Well, you wrapped up with something really, really special that happened on Thanksgiving. You were awarded your hunt colors, which is a very big deal. But I think a lot of people don't really know what that is. So can you
I have no
explain
idea.
what
What's
it
that
is?
mean?
And
Well, there's a lot that goes into getting your hunt colors, and I'm sure every hunt is different at the criteria that they have. But it's basically you have to be hunting a certain amount of time, and for each hunt, I'm sure that differs. You have to participate a certain amount. You have to volunteer a certain amount of time and energy. You have to be a good rider. You have to come turned out correctly, and your horse needs to be neat, clean, tidy all the time. And you just have to be a good sporting person that is good for your hunt. And when they recognize that you're an asset to their hunt, then you will get awarded your colors by the masters of the hunt. So
Is that the pink coat? Do
exciting.
you become a pink coat?
No, that's just for the men. When they get their colors, they can wear scarlet.
Okay.
And the ladies, when they get awarded their colors, you can put the hunt's color on the collar of your hunt coat.
Oh,
So
okay.
instead of it being all black, now my hunt coat will be black, but my collar will be, it's kind of a yellowish gold for the myopia colors. So
Cool.
it's very exciting. Very exciting.
I don't think people understand is what happens what happened in the week before Thanksgiving. So your schedule, talking about like
Oh my
know,
gosh.
going balls to the walls. We had hunt ball, right? 1 week, and then right after that we had you had hunt supper.
I hosted a hunt supper. Yet my husband and I, and we
How many people
hosted
showed up?
80 We had about 80 people for
Whoa.
dinner.
That's a big supper.
It was a big supper, but it was really, really fun. And, a lot of hunts do hunt suppers. And most of the the hunt suppers that we have up here are catered and very fancy and very expensive. And I really wanted to give back to the hunt and to host a hunt supper, but I really didn't want to go that route. So I had to figure out a way to host, could have been over 100 people, to host everybody and give them a good meal and not go into the, totally into the red. So I bought a bunch of turkeys. I spent a whole day cooking turkeys and stuffing and all those things. And we had a huge spread of turkey sandwiches and squash bisque soup and we had a bartender, so we had, a big full bar, and it was just really, really fun. But now, hopefully, other people will see that you can throw a hunt supper, and it doesn't have to be catered, and it doesn't have to be super fancy, and you can still have a great time. I had people at my house that it was almost midnight, and there were probably still 30 people at my house, and they were all singing hunt songs, and it was just such a fun night. It was really laid back and comfortable and a lot of fun. So for those of you that think you have to be really fancy to host a hunt supper, that's not exactly true.
I like laid back and comfortable. That sounds like my kind of party.
Right?
Yeah.
It's very laid back.
Yeah. Until you get a couple of drinks in you and then you start singing hunt songs.
It was
I like that too.
You notice she said they weren't singing hunt songs at 6 o'clock. They were singing hunt songs at midnight.
Weren't.
Yeah, midnight's when the hunt songs start.
I don't think any hunt song has ever been sung before.
Before like 11
PM.
yeah.
Well, we're really lucky. Our huntsman is an Irishman, and he really is like an Irish tenor. I don't know if you've ever heard Brian Still sing but he's got an incredible voice. He and his girlfriend both, so they started it all off, and we didn't even know half the words, but we were still singing.
It doesn't matter. See, that's what the drinks are for.
It was really fun. So it was hunt ball, then the hunt supper.
You'll take some time to breathe and relax over the winter, and then we have just a couple of months, and then you start legging up again for spring.
Well, I'm going to go down, and I'm hoping you're going to come with me. I'm going to go down to Aiken in February and do a little bit of hunt week. One of our masters has offered me one of her horses to use, so that should be pretty exciting. So I'm going to hunt one more time before the spring.
All right, then I'll just log on and start looking at ticket prices because that's what I'll do. Okay. We can do that.
It's for anybody that's interested. Aiken Hunt Week, both with the Whiskey Road Foxhounds. It's February 4th through the 12th, and I'm planning on going later in that first week because their hunt ball is that Friday night, the 6th. So I want to be down there for their ball and to go hunting.
Well, congratulations on your colors and for a wonderful season.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're running out of time here today, but and Merry Christmas to you.
Oh, Merry Christmas to you.
And have a terrific holiday season.
All right, thanks for having me.
All right, we'll talk to you again next year, 2015, believe it or not.
And I'll probably talk to you later.
Okay.
All right, see you,
Tally
Sissy.
ho.
Bye. Tally ho. Dr. Rose's Remedies Skin Treatment Salve and Spray are 100% all natural products. They are anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antiviral, and antifungal. Sadly, they are not anti-idiot. They do a lot of things, but they can't keep you free from the idiots in life. Dr. Rose's are made with all human-grade ingredients and are safe and effective for the treatment of scratches, abrasions, cuts, and scrapes, which I get plenty of. Ask for Dr. Rose's at your local retailer, and if they don't carry it, ask them to. Dr. Rose's is a small company, and they're easy to work with. If you live in one of those places that requires a 3-hour drive to the nearest tack store, like me, you can find Dr. Rose's Remedies online. Visit them at drrosesremedies.com.
You know what it was great for this summer was Scooter was getting scratches because he has 4 white legs. Mm-hmm. So he was getting scratches almost the whole way around. And Dr. Rose's, we'd put Dr. Rose's on, and in a day, the scratches would be gone. So it was really good for scratches.
Yeah, Brody gets well, he's always sticking his nose where it doesn't belong. So he gets a lot of little teeny nicks and abrasions on his nose, which is pink and sensitive. So
Little pink nose.
his little pink nose. And he does not like me touching his face. But if I stick a finger in the Dr. Rose's, the little container of my Dr. Rose's, he stands quietly and happily and just lets me smear it on whatever he's done to himself that day. And, a day or two later, we're back to a smooth pink nose. So I'm definitely a fan.
It's really good, too, at avoiding, and he has pictures to prove this, and they're kind of gross, so I don't like to look at them, but it's really good at avoiding proud flesh. So if you're using Dr. Rose's, you can eliminate a lot of that. Whereas some other treatments, you're going to get the proud flesh whether you like it or not. So drrosesremedies.com. Next up, we have a past guest. He's our favorite horse photographer, as we said. His name is Scott Trees of treesmedia.com. He is well known for being a horse photographer for the last 30, 40 years in the Arab world. He takes lots of pictures of Arabians and has been over to the Middle East once or twice a year, almost every year for a long time. He also does architecture. She does some amazing architecture shots. But, of course, we're here to talk horses. So let's talk to Scott Trees. Well, hi, Scott. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, how are you doing? I haven't heard from you for a while. How are things in your world?
Oh, they're terrific. We passed our 6-year anniversary here on Stable Scoop, and I think you've been on every year for about 6 years. I think it's been
that's good. It's always great to be on your program, and you guys have done a great job. So, kudos to you. Kudos to you.
Well, thank you. And, of course, you're our favorite photographer, and we don't say that lightly.
No, and we come across a lot of equine photographers.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's kind of happened in today's world, actually, that, everybody and their uncle's a photographer today.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah, there's tons of them.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
But you actually have been around for about 100 years, right, Scott? Isn't that how long you've been?
Going on 2, unfortunately. I definitely, I've been doing this long enough. I've been discovered and rediscovered in my career about 5 times now. And, I'm in that phase. I mean, we all go through, as artists in our craft, and you're always trying to improve and do things and reinvent yourself. And I chuckle sometimes. I'll go to an event and somebody will say, "Have you been doing this long?" And it's like, oh, my God. What am I doing wrong? Longer than I care to admit, actually. I'm in my 3rd act, and I'm not saying that negatively. I mean, I've been around a while, but it's going to be a great act. So, and hopefully a lot better than the other 2.
Well, Helene and I, we're in the 4th half, so we understand. Yeah, we get it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think I've reinvented my career about 80 times. So I'm
oh
with
yeah,
you.
But you do, and especially in today's world, if you're not willing to reinvent, and you can't last. I mean, and I think artistically, anybody in whatever field they're in, if they want to continue to evolve and grow, you've got to be willing to change and modify. And
to be honest, you know what, Scott? If we're honest, Helene and I, we still don't know what the hell we're doing. So
yeah. Yeah, well, it's that saying, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do when I grow up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Does that ever change?
Yeah.
I was hoping by the time I hit 50 that I would know.
No, it doesn't. I'm 64, so it doesn't. I'm getting a little clearer idea now that I think I finally figured out I don't want to grow up. So the hell with it.
Just screw it.
just gonna keep going on the way I'm going. Keep life interesting.
So I'm going through your website and your your portfolio galleries, and for someone who's been so immersed in his career for so long, I'm wondering how your artistic eye has changed over the years and at different times in your life. So, there's 2 questions actually. That's one of them. Maybe you can answer this one first. When you take a photo, are you interpreting something that you see? Are you capturing a moment to then share, or what's the inspiration behind each image when before you actually put your finger down? Yeah, what's the inspiration?
It's not necessarily a conscious process. I mean, there's something that I've always categorize myself as a reactive shooter. And by that I mean I can go into a session with an idea, a general idea of what I would like to do. But then once I get there, especially if it's, as you guys know, I do commercial work as well, but if it's a horse venue and, the horse is going to dictate what actually ends up happening. And so I might, come in with an idea of what I think I want to do, and then I'll see the light will be better someplace else, or the horse might be acting a little differently. And so I'm I'm responding as much to, I just respond to what's in front of me. I react. And so I can think that it's great for that horse to trot on that rail, but it's not the rail closest to the barn or his friends, and he wants to go someplace else, or hits a look that's just incredible. And so, I have a good sense of timing, and I react to what I see, and I don't necessarily have a preconceived notion or idea. Sometimes I do, but more often than not, I'm just kind of immersing myself in the moment. And so I am definitely trying to respond to that moment that catches my eye, and it's an instant. And when I shoot horses, I watch the eyes and the ears. I've been doing it long enough now that the timing is there. So I'm looking for that something. I've always said if I can get behind the veil of the eyes, I can say something about the subject I'm photographing. That's people, horses, dogs, whatever. When that veil drops for that instant, when you're kind of behind and in their moment for that moment. And I think that's always been a hallmark of my style, is that I capture those moments a lot.
And Helena, your follow-up?
Yeah.
The follow-up question?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is, how has that changed over the years? Because I'm going through some of the photos, and for example, one of them just reaches out, grabs me, hugs me, and says, "This is your life, Helena." And it's a Palomino who's gotten into the hay barn. And it's a black and white sort of sepia thing. Which is that's a very different view though than some of your other images. Now I know, obviously when you're at a shoot, the setup is a little bit different and the intent is a little bit different, but there's a different feeling in some of your images, and I'm wondering if those represent different times of your life.
That image in particular, it's interesting you picked that one out, because of all the pictures I've shot in my career, that's of horses, that's my personal favorite. And it is.
Way to go, Helena!
Yeah, good for you, good girl. But it was taken in Poland, and I was actually there shooting an article in Poland, and actually they're shooting a specific horse in addition to the article. And I was so struck by, I was there in '93, and so I was so struck by how in that time everybody, still so many people needed the horse for their daily survival. And so this draft horse, this guy didn't have a tractor. He had this draft horse. And so the fellow that I was staying with was a very talented artist in his own right named Maciek Falkovich, who spoke very little English, but he came up. I'd been shooting all that morning. I was taking a break later in the day, and he came running up and said, "Scott, Kona, come, we go." And so we got in this little bitty car of his, and we followed this horse. And in Europe, all of those old homes are built around courtyards. And so I went in to wanted to photograph this horse because he knew I liked the heavy horses. And usually when I shoot for myself, I shoot black and white. And so we went in, and this fellow, nobody spoke English, and so I was trying to convey that I wanted to photograph his horse. Well, he thought I wanted to photograph him with his horse, so I photographed him with his horse. And then he said, moment, and he went and got his family, and I photographed his wife and his daughter with the horse, and they were so proud that I wanted to photograph all of them. And so I was able to very gently take the horse away from the man and turned him loose, and I was just hoping to get a picture of him walking back into the hay. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. And that's there again. There's the preconceived idea. Well, I think it could be interesting to see this horse walking back into the barn.
Right.
Well, what he did when he walked back into the barn, because his stall was just off to the left of the wagon that he'd been pulling all day for the hand-loaded hay, he reached over and took a bite of the hay. And it just that moment I captured it, and it was just it's very old world, and that's kind of the story behind the picture.
It could be very new world. It doesn't,
yeah.
It could be any barn at any place. Obviously the tack and the horse's accoutrements tell us that it's not typically an American scene.
It's not a show barn. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a quiet moment. It's a quiet moment that most people don't see, and most people looking at horse pictures don't see.
Right.
It's that other side.
And those moments are the ones I look for. Those. I mean, let's face it. The majority of the time, I've always kind of quantified. I'm an advertising shooter that happens to specialize in horses.
Okay.
And so, I'm brought in most of the time to shoot an image of some sort for an ad of some sort. And so my approach has always been, how can you take the ordinary and make it extraordinary for people to take a look at it? And that's kind of always been the underlying goal of my approach to photographing anything in an advertising sense, horse or otherwise. And so, but when you see it's those other moments that we that love horses, it is those moments that we always see that really mean the most to us. And I think that's why that particular picture is one of my more meaningful. It's just kind of embodied my whole feeling for what happened in a remarkable trip for me. I was in Poland for two weeks at that point, and I grew up around Polish Arabians, so it was kind of a dream come true to get to be at these historical studs. And then the people I met and the whole experience. And this was actually, I think I took that shot the day before I left the country. So, I just, so you have to kind of quantify the moments of what you're trying to do. And that's what a lot of people, especially as we alluded to earlier, so many people have cameras today. And, they have the chance to kind of see those moments and capture them, because that's what really keeps us all involved with this, not necessarily just the show side.
Yeah, that's a little different than years ago when we saw those moments and you went, damn, I wish I had my camera, the 1,000 times.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Now today,
you do.
You grab your iPhone and take it.
Yeah.
Now you do. It's you do. And it's so, that's just the way technology's changed. But it's not a conscious process. I mean, as I do a lot of workshops, I'm actually giving a lot of workshops now. And one of the things that I share with my students is I'm not an instructor that's going to take you up to a point and not tell you anything else because you might learn something I know how to do. I'll tell you anything I know. I tell my students my workshops are full of information, and I tell them everything I know. And I point out to them, I can tell you everything I know, and you're still not going to take pictures like I do. And it's not that because I'm so much better, it's just that we all have our own approach. And ultimately, how we end up photographing our subjects as much comes from inside us. And that's going to be different from everybody. And what horses mean to you and those kinds of things. I mean, that's where ultimately I think the differences come up, and that's what fosters a style, is that it's your personal interpretation of what's in front of you.
Now, you've been busy this year. You just got done being a keynote speaker. Now, you've photographed Arabians for a long time. I'm talking to horses now. You've photographed, actually both. You've photographed Arabians for a long time, and you just spoke as the keynote speaker at their convention, right?
I was asked to speak, and I have been involved with the Arabian horse, as I think we've alluded in earlier shows. I grew up in the horse industry. My mother had saddlebreds. I jumped horses for a while, but I got involved with the Arabian horse when I was 13 years old, and so I've got a 5-decade lifetime experience and a 4-decade professional experience with these horses. So there were some things that I felt as a keynote I needed to say, and the audience was extremely receptive to the comments that I shared, and it was a great experience for me. And I was also fortunate I was able to showcase some images that were a part of the Kentucky Horse Park show I did, and they were the big prints that they put on display there. So they got to be out, and then I'm allowing AHA to hang them in their offices for a while. So it was a great event for me and a great group of people.
Helena, Jennifer, and I got to see that showing that you had at Kentucky Horse Park with some huge prints. I mean, these are above the mantle size, and some amazing stuff.
Thank you.
Speak of the Arabian world, there's a world where, the horses are like magical to take photographs of. I don't know what it is about an Arabian, but they're just magical.
Well, they're the high fashion models of the business.
Yeah, that's true. And they almost approach a unicorn,
They're the Victoria's Secret models.
But, exactly. I mean,
they're bred for what they do.
Exactly. And they're so... They can be ethereal, or they can be dynamic, they can be athletic. I mean, there's a lot to the breed that is makes them great to photograph. I mean, I certainly love photographing the Baroque horses and all breeds of horses. But I think as an industry also, they've been very receptive to different kinds of shots. I mean, I certainly had a lot to do with that. The 40 years ago I started doing this, but But they're very receptive to different kinds of images, and that helps as well. And so, they're just fun to photograph.
Years ago, 35 years ago, the 25 to 30 years ago, the Arab industry was huge. The horses were selling for big bucks, and then the bottom fell out. They have had their ups and downs through the last 30 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just like any other.
Yeah. And I shared my concerns with that. I mean, it's, the Arabian horse it has developed a bad rep. I mean, the common consensus of the Arabian is they're pretty expensive and you can't do anything with them. And yes, they're pretty, but they're not necessarily expensive, and they're one of the more versatile breeds there are. And people think they're too high strung, but turns out, they're turning out to be one of the most adept horses for therapy of a variety of levels. Because the one thing I think that can fairly be said about an Arabian horse is that they relate to people differently than most breeds. And call it whatever you want, but they do. And so,
they require a level of authenticity in people that you do get in therapeutic situations.
Well said.
Right?
Yeah, and I think that I had one lady who was sharing. She uses 15 of them in a program she uses for troubled teens. And she said, I can get this one horse, I can have a girl on her that's never ridden a horse, and that same horse can be a show horse for somebody. They kind of intuit where the people are with them. But so at any rate, that's certainly been the breed that I've done the most with, and where I think I probably received my most recognition. But I've done all the breeds at one point or another, most all of them.
Well, can we do a tip here quick before we have to let you go?
Certainly.
How about photographing in the winter when there's snow? Because snow offers so much glare. And let's keep in mind that most people are using their iPhones, which, by the way, are better than the $500 camera I probably bought 3 years ago.
Well, it's interesting. The new iPhones are better than the first, quote, professional, unquote, digital camera I own. But
that's right. You paid $5,000 for it.
Yeah, I got a ridiculous amount of money then. But the biggest problem with snow is it's so bright, and that most people will probably, when they get their snow pictures coming back, they're going to see that they're kind of blue. That's kind of a common thing. They look a little dark, and the snow is blue. And the reason that happens is because the light meters see all of that brightness, and they go, oh, my gosh, it's really bright, so I need to darken the image. And so the best way to get pictures of horses in the snow is to either shoot it on a manual setting, where you can override the light meter, and generally you have to open up a half a stop to a full stop when you shoot on the snow. The same could be said of the beach. I mean, anything bright like that, or the sand when I shot in the Middle East all the time. It's so bright that you have to compensate and tell the meter, no, it's not really as bright as you think. We want to keep that brightness in there. So you can either shoot it on manual and then take your meter reading and overexpose a half stop or a full stop. Or if you tend to shoot on an automatic mode, most of today's digital SLRs will give you the option to use exposure compensation. And on that, it's just a little exposure, and you do a +1/2 to a +1. And as a rule, you'll see that your pictures will come back looking like white snow rather than blue snow.
Mm.
So it was +1, is that?
A +1 is a good, as a rule, it's usually a half a stop. I'd usually run a test shot, and that's the thing with today's digital world, is you can take a quick test picture and go, oh, nope, still blue. So start off at a half and and usually about a full stop does it.
You know what the problem is, too, with our phones nowadays? Most people, and I don't know if Alina's the same way. Let me not say most people. I tend to forget I have settings at all. So you never look at those settings, and then you're taking pictures in the same mode every time, and then all of a sudden I remember, wow, I could have changed that.
I could have done something,
yeah. Exactly.
Well,
that's the thing, too. Go ahead.
The places where we buy these things, they dumb everything down so you don't really know how to take a manual photo anymore. And, for most people, they don't need to know they don't need to even know what f-stop is. But if this is something that you want to do and it's important for you to capture and portray these images, then, open up a book or pop into a class. It's not rocket science. Like, you can understand just enough, right? Like, even just knowing how to change the f-stop on your camera.
Well, I think there's certainly a lot of resources out there. I've got, workshops that I do online.
Tell us about those.
I've got several workshops online. If people go to my website at treesmedia.com, they can go look. I have a couple sections for workshops, And also under the retail side, I just this week released a new series called Equine Photography 101. And it's a 4-part DVD series that covers a lot of information about how to photograph horses, from equipment considerations to lighting to poses. They're 4 30-minute DVDs, so it's a 2-hour presentation that covers a lot of ground.
Wow, that'd be a great Christmas gift.
Yeah,
that would be a really good
$49, and if you order it before the 15th of December, you get a 15% discount. So just go to my site and go to retail, and it says DVD sets. So I'm kind of excited about those. I'm going to start offering more and more as time goes on. I actually have one called Equine Photography 101, and there's another one up there called The Art of Lighting.
Cool.
So it's time to share my knowledge a little more. I certainly have enough of it.
Well, we're not getting younger either, so we better get it out there, Teresa.
I'll speak for yourself.
Treesmedia.com is where you'll find it. And if you want to hear past interviews and all the different tips that we have done about photography over the years, you can go to Horse Tip Daily and just look up Scott Trees. We have done a ton of them over the years, but it's treesmedia.com if you want to look at, you have somebody that's a budding photographer in your family and want to give them a gift that they would probably really appreciate, then that DVD set is the way to go.
I thank you for that. And, it's not just horses. I mean, while I concentrate on horses, anybody that wants to learn more about photography, this would help them.
Scott Trees at treesmedia.com. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, too. It's always a pleasure. And have a Merry Christmas, both of you.
You too. Up next, we have another of my favorite segments. They're all my favorite segments, in case you hadn't
I noticed
that.
you said that at the beginning of the show with Sissy, too, and I went, she says that every show.
It's my favorite show now. I got my favorite segments. Everything's my favorite. You know what? I just love everything. It's the holiday season. I love everything.
That's right. Happy.
And I haven't even been drinking, and I love everything. See, I'm just naturally in love with the world. But Tack and Habit is close to my heart. And this week we have our friend Bree from Riding Warehouse, and she's going to tell us about 2 products which are super cool, which I will not buy, but I fully expect to be given as gifts.
Hint, hint.
Hint, hint. So let's get Bree on and hear what she's got to talk about.
Well, hi, Bree. Welcome back.
Hi, thanks for having me back.
So ridingwarehouse.com, seeing some orders coming in for the holidays. You got through Black Friday and Cyber Monday?
Yes, we are. We're surviving. We got through that, and it seems like it really hasn't slowed down since. So we're excited about this holiday season. It's
I
great.
remember when we had our store and we just went online way back in the 90s, and I remember packing boxes till 2 or 3 in the morning, so I get it.
Yep, I think there's some people doing that probably this week.
Yeah, Bree's like, hell with that, I'm out of here at 6.
Yeah, peace out.
See you guys, that's why I'm the marketer.
There you go.
Well, now, the another reason Riding Warehouse, I think, is doing so good is you got the free shipping over $50, you got the $5 2-day air, and an unheard of 365-day return. I told some people about that the other day that were friends that were buying stuff for the holidays. I said, you should check out Riding Warehouse, and I mentioned that. They were like, who does that? And I said, they do that. So that's something I don't think you talk about enough is.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll bring it up again. 365 days to return it. And not only that, but if you're in the contiguous U.S., we will send a free return shipping label with all packages that go out regardless of value. So it's perfect for gifts, too, if you're thinking about gifts this holiday season. That way, if they need to return it, they definitely can. They have a lot of time to return it. They can return it up to a year. So, and then you can always give them the free shipping label, and they can get whatever they want in exchange.
So let me reiterate. If I was to try and guess Helena's size for a pair of breeches, and I got it totally wrong, and I'm embarrassed because I bought 6 times too big,
oh, no.
She can send it back for free and then get the return for free? Yep. Is that how it works?
Yep. It's free both ways. Yep, she can send it back for free within 365 days, and then we would ship her the correct size for free. And, say you get breeches and they don't need breeches. They want something for their horse instead. They can also exchange that for something.
Or let's take the more likely scenario that she gains 10 pounds over the holidays. And
oh, no. I'm sorry he's using you for an example here, Helena.
What else is new?
Unfortunate.
Welcome to my house under the bus. It's no longer a
It's
vacation
comfy
home.
under there,
it is
isn't
a
it?
year-round
It's
residence.
nice and comfy and warm under there. Hey,
Yeah, I'm going to carpet it.
Bree, what are we talking about today, product-wise?
Well, today we've got the newest Back on Track products into our warehouse. And the first one I'm going to talk about, I think, is a great gift item. So I think this is a really timely one that I'm going to discuss, and it's the Back on Track. It's a mini blanket, and it's actually for you. So they've got a selection of human products and horse products, and you'll find a large selection on our website. We've got quite a nice line of Back on Track products. So if you're familiar with the line, you might want a few different things that we have to offer. But I really like this blanket because it does cater to the riders. And for those of you not familiar with the Back on Track technology, it basically contains some ceramic powder, and it's their own state-of-the-art technology, and it reflects your own body heat back onto itself. So what happens is it really relaxes muscles. And it's both horse and rider. So the horse products work the same as the human products. Basically relaxes your muscles, increases circulation, and reduces the swelling. So it's great not only on injuries, but also to prevent injuries or to just relieve soreness. But this blanket is really cool. It's 20 by 27 inches. It's really nice when you're just kind of hanging out on the couch. You can put it over whatever area needs a little bit of attention. Makes a fantastic gift. It's at a great price, $44.95, very reasonable for the technology that's involved. And I just think that it's machine washable too. I can't forget that because us horse people, we love things that are machine washable. So it's a really great. It's very easy to transport. You can throw it in a suitcase, and it's just the only thing I would be aware of is because you may not want to have it too close to somebody who might fall in love with it because it's too easy to steal. So that's the only thing to keep in mind is just keep it in your room. Don't leave it out because once people try it, they're really going to feel a difference. We have several people down in our warehouse that actually pulled it out of inventory and we're trying it on, and they love it. So that's a great gift, but it's also good all year round. Sore backs, legs, anything really. It's just a really nice little tool at a reasonable price. So that's the first one I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
And then, so that's pretty new in our warehouse. And the latest thing in our warehouse from Back on Track is the Therapeutic Fleece Exercise Quarter Sheet. So a lot of people are using quarter sheets this time of year and on into the winter. This one contains that same state-of-the-art technology in the quarter sheet, and it's actually set up so you can ride very easily, just like any quarter sheet. And so that's going to really relieve a lot of stress on your horse's hindquarters. And it's also fleece lined, so it's going to keep them warm. So it does two things. Kind of keeps them nice and warm in the wintertime when you're out riding, but it's also going to soothe muscles. And in the winter, the muscles do tend to get a little bit tighter. So I think the technology merging with a quarter sheet is perfect for the 6 months of the year where it's fairly cold when we're out riding. So that's the latest and greatest in our warehouse from Back on Track. We love all of their products. So we've got back braces, knee braces, ankle braces. We've got the full sheet. So if you have a horse and you've got him in your stall and you want to put something on, we've got the full sheet on there. We've got saddle pads. We cover a pretty wide range. But this quarter sheet is super, super nice. If you take a look at it on our website, it's really good looking, nice and sleek and black. So it's not going to show too much dirt, which I really like, especially in the wintertime when it can be muddy. And like I said, I think it's just the perfect blend because people want to ride in quarter sheets, but then you're also at the same time not only keeping your horse warm, but also using that technology to relax their muscles. Great on like colder back type horses too. The saddle pads work fantastic. If you've got a cold backed horse, those are a really good tool. So we've just got a lot of products that you can use.
And this stuff is good. My wife and I both use the human products, and they really do work. And just can't recommend Back on Track enough. Well, we'll put a link to these products in our show notes, but you can just go to writingwarehouse.com and just search Back on Track, and it'll bring up all their different products. Make great gifts. And, when the nice part about when you buy somebody a gift of a Back on Track product is they know you bought them a quality product. So anybody that knows anything about horses and gets Back on Track products knows that you put some thought into it, you spent some money on them, and they just know it's quality. So that it makes a great gift. And I'm saying that from a husband who has bought some pretty crappy products over the years. So, my wife will attest to that. I'm getting better. It's only taken me 30 years, but I'm figuring it out. Thank you, Bree.
Thanks,
You're welcome.
Bree.
Thank you for having me. I hope you guys have a good rest of your holiday season.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Bree. Well, now we have a tradition that we do every December here on the Horse Radio Network, and that's our annual All Hosts episode. We've been doing it since it was just Helene and I as the first one, 7 years ago. But now we have a lot of different hosts here on the shows, and every year we get together and we just have a little party and record it and then put it out on Christmas week, and we're going to do that this year. We're recording it next week. Are you coming? Are you going to be there?
I'm going to be there with bells on.
Yay! You have to be there. You're required.
Bells on and booze in hand.
It's been so much fun over the years. We've had a great time. I just look forward to that every year, getting together with everybody, because we never do that. It's the only time all year that all the hosts get together and have fun,
Dude, you need to have a party. Have a party in Florida and we'll come.
It's like the Horse Radio Network Christmas party.
You live in the horse capital of the world, so what's the problem?
Yeah, you have to get down here this winter, by the way.
Well, have an all-host party and I'll be there.
Well, hopefully we'll see you at ADA in January, too, as we make our way to snowy Philadelphia.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
We're actually talking about going home for the holidays this year, so we'll see how that goes. We haven't been home probably in 10 years to Pennsylvania, so we might do that, too. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. When you live in Florida, you don't want to leave in the winter.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Although,
it's cold.
The holidays up here are quite magical.
They are, yeah.
They're not the Magic Kingdom magical, but they can be kind of cool. Cozy fire and some friends and family.
Well, we're running out of time. Thank you, Helena. If you want to listen to our shows, one of the easiest ways to do it is on our app. You can go to the iOS or Android App Store and just search for Horse Radio Network. The Stable Scoop Show is one of 8 shows on the app that you can listen to. And you can find Helena at
sparkleandboom.com. Or you can also find me at Chasing a Fox. Follow us on Facebook because that's where I spend a lot of my free time.
And, of course, you can follow the Stable Scoop Radio Show at stablescoop.com. You can go back and listen to all 328 past episodes on there. If you're crazy enough to do that, we would welcome it. That's it for this week, Helena.
That is plenty, but there will be more next week. Until then, happy scooping.